3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody watching on Facebook and those that are going to be watching later on. We want to welcome you to this week's episode of the Get Your Geek On podcast for the week of September 15th, 2017. As always, we are your host, Chuck Kiwacz.
Robert Dokes.
And I'm Anthony Arsenio.
And continuing in our weekly Artist Spotlight interviews, we had Joe Starr on from Honest Trailers last week, and we really upped the game this week, guys. We are bringing on a true heavy hitter in the DC Comics world. So we're going to jump right into it, folks. We've been advertising it all day. We have Ethan Van Siever, DC legendary artist, with us on the line. Ethan, how are you today, my friend?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Absolutely phenomenal. We want to thank you so much for coming on the show. It's an honor to have someone of your caliber on our humble little abode here. But first of all, just want to thank you for taking the time to come out. Where are you talking to us from today, Ethan?
I live in Marlton,
New Jersey?
Yeah.
We have a New Jersey right here.
Okay.
Is that right?
I'm originally from Montclair up north, so.
The big difference between North Jersey and South Jersey.
Yes. So much that they make jokes about it.
So now, Ethan, for those of you that don't know, Ethan is an extremely big-time artist in the DC world. For those of you that may not know his name, you definitely know his work. If you've ever read the Sinestro Corps War, or more importantly, Flash Rebirth, which we have right in front of here, one of the pivotal Flash stories of all time by Jeff Johns and Ethan. His seminal works. And now, Anthony, I know you're a big fan as well. Tell us a little bit about some of your favorite Ethans.
Oh, man, Blackest Night.
Which we can't, anybody that knows, that's my favorite storyline of all time.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I can't even dig into that. But so, I mean, how did you stumble? What's like one of the first pieces of his that you've picked up?
Oh, man, I've been reading Green Lantern since Jeff Johns and Ethan did that first Rebirth book. So I've just been a big fan for years. It's been a long time. And I'm very familiar with your work, Ethan.
So now, Ethan, one of the things that we do like to know is that one of your first major works at DC was Impulse, and Anthony wanted to know, will we see Bart Allen again ever? Do you think that's a character that you could ever see yourself drawing again?
Oh, I would love to. I drew him in Flash Rebirth, which was a lot of fun, and I think one of the things that we wanted to do at the end of that story, which all ended up getting wiped away with the Flash story that came next, Flashpoint. But we wanted to bring back Bart Allen and Max Mercury and kind of have them be together again.
That would have been awesome.
Well, they're in the book. I mean, you know, they get together in the book. I think I did a variant cover with them, and it felt really good. And then to make a new Impulse. And I think Wally's little girl, Irie West, or was it Irie Allen?
I think it was Irie West, or maybe I think it was Allen, actually.
I can't. It would have been Irie West.
It was West.
Okay, yeah. So Irie West was going to be the new Impulse, and she was for about 2 issues, and then they wiped it away. I was like, I thought she would have been great. So I would love to draw Alan again. He's a character that's very close to my heart.
That's awesome. So moving on, I just had a personal question. I got to know, what is it like to work with Grant Morrison?
Oh wow! Well, it was a while ago. That was 15 years ago now. Jeez. It was very strange. Like, his scripts are so thoughtful and almost like I used to say back then that his scripts kind of read like a dream interpretation. Like he woke up out of a dream and he wrote it all down verbatim. And there's a lot of beautiful imagery. I actually wish, like, you know, I know he's written a lot of things, but I wish that they would publish the scripts for new X-Men that we actually worked from, because they would be a lot of fun just to read on their own and just see the way he described these images to us as artists to draw. He is a very, very, very nice fellow. Very nice. I had some good conversations with him when we were together. And you know, the thing that people remember from my new X-Men run was the practical joke that I played where, you know, I hid the word sex on
every issue. Yeah.
And it was funny. Grant Morrison saw me right after that kind of became public information, and he took me aside and kind of put his arm around my shoulder, and I thought he was going to yell at me, and he was just like, "Why didn't you tell me you were doing that? That was hilarious." And
That's awesome.
The film's name was Sublime and kind of subliminal. He thought it was great, so I felt better about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a really good guy. I would love to work with him again, but the pressure is on. When I got that job, I was very young. I just finished Impulse and Flash Iron Heights. I was a very inexperienced artist, and I knew that I wasn't ready for that job. But when you get a job like that, it makes you rise to the challenge.
Now, one thing I wanted to ask you, Ethan. Now, Flash Rebirth is my hands down my favorite Flash storyline of all time. But for those of you that don't know, Barry Allen had been gone for a very, very long time in the comics before you guys decided to bring the storyline back. So, I mean, what was it like knowing that you were going to be the person that was chosen to bring back such an iconic character after a 25-year absence?
Oh, it was terrific. Now you have to understand one thing. I mean, this was a big turning point in my career, because Jeff and I had been developing Blackest Night together this whole time. From a 3 a.m. phone call where I called him up and was just like, now listen, you're going to think I'm crazy, but why isn't there a Blue Lantern Corps and a Red Lantern Corps and all this stuff? And we just hashed it out over the phone. And he had this idea already in his head about the Blackest Night, which he thought would be zombies returning, and they became Black Lanterns because of this new spectrum we were building. So that was all his idea. And I started building, all these different Lantern Corps. So this was a big thing. I was doing all the designs. In the meantime, I mean, we were hot stuff at DC. I mean, hot stuff. They loved us. They loved the idea for Blackest Night. Everyone, when you told somebody who was working at DC and editorial about the idea, their eyes would widen. They knew it was hot. They knew it was a good idea. And so at the same time, I'm using these opportunities I have to be close to Dan DiDio to say to him, look, the Flash franchise that Jeff and I love so much, it's faltering. This is you guys keep trying to relaunch it. I think they made Bart Allen the Flash. They grew him up
for a little bit, yeah.
That didn't work out. And then Mark Waid came back. Great Mark Waid, a great Flash writer, came back and tried to do something different by giving Wally these two kids, and that didn't work out. And it just seemed to keep falling apart. I said, why don't you just let us bring Barry Allen back? And every time I said that, and I think a lot of artists were saying, please, let's bring back Barry. Every time I said that, Dan and whoever from DC that I was talking to would be like, look, Barry died an honorable death in Crisis, and I mean, he died a hero. And he's
the first issue that ever made me cry.
Yeah.
It meant a lot to a lot of people. I mean, it really did. So, it seemed like sacrilege. And I finally said to him, I said, Dan, it's been 25 years since that story. And so there's a whole new generation of Flash fans that are 25 years old, theoretically, who never met Barry Allen, don't remember that story. And so that story doesn't mean anything to them. But they are aware of the fact that there's this Silver Age Barry Allen Flash character that kind of matches the Silver Age Hal Jordan Green Lantern character. We need to have them both back because it's like Batman and Superman almost. It's the next tier of Silver Age DC. So he still said no to me, like that impassioned speech. No. But anyway, so we're doing Blackest Night, and Jeff Johns calls me up. And he said, I remember this vividly. I remember this felt like the bones were ripped out of my body all at once. I just sank into my sofa. He said, Ethan, good news. DC is letting us bring back Barry Allen as the Flash. We're going to do Flash Rebirth. And I was like, yes! So we'll do Blackest Night, and then we'll do Flash Rebirth, 2 in a row. And he's like, no, they're going to come out at the same time, so you got to pick one. And I was like, oh no, so it's just I had a choice at that point, and I was like, I'm going to pray. I'm literally going to get on my knees and pray to God, which choice do I make here? Because I know Blackest Night is going to be an enormous hit. On the other hand, Flash Rebirth might be better long term. I could be the guy who brought back both of these characters, So I ended up just you guys can do Blackest Night with Ivan, and I'm going to do Flash Rebirth. And I felt sick to my stomach. I really did. But long term, my talk with my friends, I just kind of said, I can always come up with another Green Lantern event with Jeff, big event. Only one person's going to get to be the guy who brought back Barry Allen, and I want that to be me.
That's Sophie's choice right there.
Oh, yeah.
So bad. It was Sophie's choice. So to this day, like I see Blackest Night stuff and it hurts my gut a little bit, but I got to do a little bit. I got to do some designs. I did some variant covers and things for it, and I supervised the event in some ways. But I am the guy who brought back Barry and Hal. So
it's incredible. And just touching on Blackest Night quickly, I mean, anybody that listens to the show knows it's hands down my favorite storyline of all time. I own every issue, every variant, every iteration of anything to do with that story. But one of the things I love about it, and to hear you guys talk about the ideas, it's the first true entire universe crossover in the way that for 6 months, every Superman issue that you got, Batman, like it all had their tie-ins that made perfect sense into the larger story. I've never seen anything that had so many little parts that came together into such a cohesive story. But then again, creating the other Lantern Corps, as I've grown up a diehard Lantern fan, I'm wearing my Sinestro ring, but the idea of the other Lantern Corps was so just mind-numbing of like, how could no one have ever thought of that before? And the way that you guys, gave them a different tie to each emotional part of the spectrum was just absolutely insane. But I totally understand the decision to go with the Flash. Now, Robert, speaking of the Flash, we love the CW shows here a little bit. So, Robert, touch on that as far as like what you'd like to see.
What characters, particularly ones that you have drawn, would you like to see in the CW universe?
Ooh. Well, I mean, a lot of them have already been there. I mean, the good news is that, I co-created these Flash characters, these villains, most of them in Iron Heights, if you read that. I co-created them with Jeff over an amazing weekend where, again, we used to get on the phone and it was just like magic. It was just magic. We'd come up with wonderful ideas and we'd be excited about them. I think Murmur was already on Green Arrow. And a lot of these other characters. I would like to see a nice version of Girder. Big, rusty metal Girder, Iron Heights. I think he would be terrific. I think the prison does exist in the CW universe now, doesn't it?
It does, but it's not like a superhero prison, type. They have like maybe one or two. They really don't go there. And I remember like most of them were at least in the Flash TV show, they were storing them in the
pipeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where all the villains are. That's like that's hard punishment. That's hard time down there. I don't know. I mean, most of the characters that I've created that I really, really love and have affection for are all in the Green Lantern universe. And so I'm waiting for the Green Lantern movie in 2020 and hoping it broadens out to a big franchise so I can see Atrocitus. And hopefully he'll do as good as he does on that video game that just came out.
The Lantern movie is all that I have to live for at this point. Now, Ethan, I just want to jump in real quick. We do have some fans that are watching live online, and two of them did submit questions earlier, so I just want to come in from Tim Thompson from our page, writes, who's an artist or a writer that you've not had the chance to collaborate with yet, but that you would really like to at some point?
Well, artists are people I compete with, so I don't want to collaborate with any artists. It's like,
honest man.
Yeah.
Writers, boy, so many. I mean, I hope to get a Scott Snyder script at some point. Tom King is marvelous. I really like Tim Seeley, and I'm glad to see that he's over writing some Green Lantern stuff. Dan Jurgens, I'd love to work with him on some Superman.
Ooh.
I can go on. I mean, I really, the great thing about being a comic book artist, I mean, a lot of people are like, when are you going to write for yourself? Like, Tony does, and Shane Davis just started doing it. And it's like, well, I don't feel like I'm smart enough to write for myself, A, but B, when there's so much great talent out there, so many brilliant writers, it's like a banquet. You get to pick all these wonderful collaborators to work with. And I don't think there's anyone currently working at DC that I don't want to work with.
Good answer.
It's more like character. Josh Williamson is fantastic. Ben Percy. I mean, these guys, this new breed of writers that came on with Rebirth are just magnificent. So I'm going to get around it.
There you go.
So we have a Mount Rushmore here of comic creators, and probably the main head of that Mount Rushmore is Jeff Johns, who you've collaborated with many times. We just want to know, what is it like to work with the DC Comics Jesus?
All hail Jeff Johns.
I could write pages. I could write a love song to Jeff Johns in a very
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear that song.
But he is I mean, Jeff and I started working at DC at exactly the same time, and we were newbies. I was doing Impulse, and he was doing Stars and Stripe, and he had done a thing called Day of Justice. I think, what was it called? I can't remember. I want to call it Day of Justice, but it was a 4-part miniseries. We spoke the whole time. He came and did a fill-in on Impulse that I wasn't able to draw, and we were disappointed about that, but I did the cover, and then we just planned to work together. I feel like I've always felt like Jeff Johns is the captain of the football team.
Yeah.
He's extremely optimistic. He cheers you on. Got great ideas. He's receptive to your ideas. I think he's read every single DC comic that's ever happened because he knows everything.
His knowledge
I
is
believe that.
insane.
Yeah.
And his recall, like he'll instantly just pull it up. Oh, you remember issue 37 of this guy? Like it's insane.
That's what I mean. I would have to chase. Like he'd be like, okay, so for this, we're going to do this, this, and this, and I would have to read up because I was a Marvel fan growing up. So a lot of these DC characters, they were new to me, and I had to learn them on the job and read. He was telling me to read. But to me, that was great. I had a fresh take on everything. I wasn't like, hey, I got to do this the way Neil Adams did it. No, do it brand new for franchise. And he's got a great sense of humor. He's extremely kind, and he deserves everything he's got. You know what I mean? You see him wildly succeeding, and he deserves every single bit of it because he worked so hard for it. And I wish he were writing. That's my one regret. That makes me very sad. I wish he would write some more comics.
I'm so excited to read Doomsday Clock with him coming back, though. Like that's going to be a great one.
He polishes everything now. I mean, he called me about DC Rebirth last year, and it was just like, I'm coming back. We're doing this thing called Rebirth, and that means you have to be involved. And I was trying to finish this Green Lantern miniseries. I had been kind of like, I don't know, like slow and not meeting deadlines for so long because I just had I just went through a divorce, and so I was kind of like not really feeling myself. And then I kind of said, I picked myself up and said, okay, I'm gonna treat this as though I just broke in, and I'm gonna say yes to everything. I'm gonna meet every deadline, and I'm really gonna be a workhorse for DC Comics and get myself back to where I want to be, which is back on Hal Jordan. So they finally gave me this DC Green Lantern miniseries, and I was 3 issues into a 6-issue mini, and doing well. I mean, meeting every deadline and doing good work. And Jeff called me like, we got to yank you off of that because you got to do this thing with me. It's Rebirth, and you need to be there. And
what miniseries was it?
The Edge of Oblivion or Lost Lanterns?
It was called Edge of Oblivion, yeah. So I got 3 issues into it. Jeff's done that to me like 3 times. I'm like, he pulled me off of Batman Superman to do Sinestro Corps. It's always great, It's always like he put me.
That's a good move, though.
Yeah, it was a nice move. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, great idea.
So now, with Sinestro Corps War, it was amazing to debut, an entire new corps against the Green Lantern mythos, which hadn't really been done before with Sinestro only having the ring. But going into Blackest Night, one of the coolest things I think about that storyline was the idea of the Deputy Lanterns, getting to see Flash as a Blue Lantern, Wonder Woman as Sapphire. I've seen you do some cool artwork with different characters as Lanterns, but if you had gotten the chance to, to draw a couple characters, God forbid they ever did an Elseworlds tale, what character would you kind of lanternize to run for a story arc? What character would you like to see brought into a Lantern Corps?
Oh, I mean, Red Lantern, Hawkman.
Oh,
that's a good one.
There's so many guys. I mean, the thing about it was what was getting Jeff and I buzzed about this whole thing early on was I was saying the great thing about this is the fact that it's interchangeable and it's going to make the fans' imaginations go crazy. Because for every DC superhero and villain, and not only that, for every Marvel hero and villain, okay, if you want imaginary fan fiction, there are 8?
There's 10 Lantern Corps now.
From white to black of the rings that these characters can put on. Their costumes change, their look change, their attitude changes. You imagine Wolverine with a Red Lantern ring. You imagine Batman with a Red Lantern ring. I mean, Yellow Lanterns. All this stuff. And we knew that the fans were going to be drawing this stuff for themselves. And that's how we knew it was going to be a hit. Now, if you can create something like that where the fans get involved and their imaginations go crazy and they're drawing in their notebooks and they're giving you sample drawings, you've got a hit. You're involved. And I love mashups. I don't know about you guys. Do you like those songs where they mash up songs?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love that. So I love the same thing with like superheroes too. I mean,
Amalgam was one of my favorite comic book arcs of all time because Iron Lantern, the idea of seeing Hal Jordan and Tony Stark mashed up into one character was just like the coolest thing on the planet to me.
Yeah. So I mean, that kind of turns me on. I really like it. So, I would never stop doing that until the fans told me to stop if I had a chance. I mean, I would love to do like, Brainiac, like the robot Brainiac as a Black Lantern. Just it up and I'm just looking at the action figures on my wall right now, and then rings. I would never stop.
So let me ask. I think I know the answer to this, but who is your favorite Green Lantern?
Dun, dun, dun.
And why is it Guy Gardner?
You're not kidding. It's like that's a tough question. I love them all. I really don't have. I like to draw Kilowog the best. Let's put it that way.
Nice.
Come on, Bruiser.
Happy. But these guys are my brothers. I didn't know them when I started this job. I knew that Green Lantern was a lot like Star Trek in the sense that they have an extremely loyal fan and a huge fan base. That it's loyal, but I don't know, like 30% of it will drift off if it's bored. And so I kind of got my own ideas about everybody. And I remember drawing Green Lantern Rebirth #1, having this idea about Hal Jordan and him being kind of King Arthur. Having Guy Gardner be this military, like jarhead, but a jackass. And having Jon Stewart be this man of tremendous dignity, like, very well dressed, very classy, and having to put up with Guy Gardner in that scene where they're walking to the ballpark together to possibly see Hal's ghost. Kyle Rayner being kind of a Calvin Klein model, like a younger guy, very liberal and a sweet kid, very artsy. And Kilowog just being this gigantic pig gorilla grunt, drill sergeant that snorts air out of his nose. And all of these characters, every time Jeff would give them to me, they felt so richly drawn and so vivid in his description that I don't know if they were ever this way in the comics prior, because believe it or not, I tried not to read very much. I tried to just invent. I tried to take my own feelings about these characters as I was reading them and decide who they were for myself and represent them to a new audience. And so even today, when I'm drawing Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern Corps, I'm drawing a scene right now that actually flashes back from after the Sinestro Corps War. Like, it flashes back to the moment after that's over. Remember when the buildings all lit up green? And spoiler, everyone who hasn't read it, everyone in Code
10-year story.
I get to draw John and Guy and Kyle. Kyle's wearing his suit, his older suit, okay? And they're in the air over Coast City making plans to make things better again. And John's building a skyscraper with cranes, like construct cranes. That means I get to draw those. I have to draw it all taken apart and intricate, and you can see through his constructs. And Guy is planning to build a beautiful, rock garden in the middle of the city. And Guy Gardner is sitting there hoping to open a new Warriors bar. And all this stuff, like, I know these guys. And recently we made Kyle Rayner give up his White Lantern garb and become.
I was devastated.
Are you serious?
I just love the idea of the White Lantern, the fact that there was only one. So that was just, I love that idea. But
Guy, you can't. It's like sending your brother away. It's like he needs to come back. They're brothers.
I get why they did it, but it was just sad to see that.
That was one of those things it was just really sad because all the things he had to do to get to that point, and just to see it get taken away.
Yeah.
Oh.
Listen, the White Lantern power is still out there, and you never know what's going to happen next. But I'll tell you something. I got goosebumps drawing him the way Daryl Banks set him out to be. And the thing about it is that there it is. Yeah. The thing about it is this, guys, and Green Lantern fans may disagree with me, and that's okay. Rebirth, which is what we're still in the middle of, okay, because this is still
incredible.
DC's Rebirth. The original Rebirth was all about Jeff and I saying, okay, these characters have been around, they've been through a lot of different iterations, but what we're going to do is we're going to bring them back and restore them to the way we think. And like I said, fans can disagree. You can think the Guy Gardner Warrior is way better than the, Crisis version of Guy Gardner if you want to, but the way we feel they were when they were at their best and the most beloved. And so I'm going to say something, it might be a little bit controversial. I feel like Daryl Banks is a goddamn genius who is not getting he's getting overlooked a little bit, okay? If you're going to go through Green Lantern history and you're going to really make a list of decade by decade, each Green Lantern creator who contributed the most to the franchise, you've got Marty Nodell, okay, but you've got Gil Kane, you've got Neil Adams for the 1970s, you've got Joe Staton in the 1980s with creating Arisia and Kilowog and Salak, and then in the 1990s, you've got the guy who created Parallax and Kyle Rayner and all of the stuff. I mean, just a whole new avenue, a whole new alleyway for Green Lantern. And that's Daryl Banks. Now, look what we did. I mean, it's like we deconstructed his character quite a bit over the years. I wanted to put it back because I love him. I love Daryl Banks.
You always got to put the toys back in the box when you're done with them.
Yeah. Look, he created a beautiful, like a cool, unique-looking Green Lantern. And that Green Lantern is Hal Jordan's brother. Mm-hmm. John Stewart's brother and Guy Gardner's brother, and we've sent him out to God knows where, dressed him in a white suit. We sent him to, hell, essentially. And it's like, let's bring him back, let's make him part of the fold again, and let's put him in that uniform that people remember for a decade. For a decade and a half, possibly, he was in that uniform. And getting to draw that cover was probably the best moment for me of this new Rebirth relaunch. Drawing him in that cover and having him say, hey guys, what do you think on the front cover, like he did when he first had that uniform, when he first created it. It made me happy. I hope it made fans happy too. I'm looking at your faces. None of you are happy.
Oh no, I will say for this much, for that cover, that's the first cover in years that I had to call my local comic store for my subscription and be like, because DC's doing the A cover and B cover now. So I was like, make sure you have a pristine copy of that. Just because of the simple fact that the pose was so iconic. There's actually a cover like that in the early 90s where it's just the other direction, but he's putting it in the lantern. But the fact that you had him with the long hair, that was iconic. So as much as I was devastated to see him go as a White Lantern, I had to rush out to get that issue, and it hangs proudly on my wall.
So, Ethan, speaking of things that are that make you happy to draw, I have to ask, how satisfying was it to draw Hal Jordan finally just punching out Batman, making him shut up?
Well, I'm a Batman fan, so it wasn't that great, but I love Batman. I'll watch anything that Batman is related to Batman. But Batman was the villain of that story, and he was. I mean, there was Parallax and everything, but Batman was the voice, and Jeff knew he wasn't the villain. That's the wrong thing to say. He was the voice of doubt. He was the one that was saying you can't have Hal Jordan back. He was the voice of the fans at the time who were saying Hal murdered all these people, like these negative people who were like, Hal can never come back. He can never be Green Lantern again. And Hal spent 5 issues. Was it 5 or 6? That happened in issue 6. Hal spent 5 issues and then went on to issue 6, proving that he deserved to be back, proving that he was framed, that he everything that you thought that he had done, he was innocent of. And you still had Batman saying, you expect me to believe all this? You expect me to believe that you're back and you're Hal Jordan and you're good and you're innocent again? And he just said, I don't care what you believe, and socked him in the jaw. I mean, it was kind of cathartic. Yeah, it was like we're gonna have Green Lantern back, damn it, whether you like it or not.
Now, Ethan, you've drawn so many different storylines. Now, from Flash and Green Lantern, I have to ask, what's your favorite splash page that you've drawn for both?
From Green Lantern? Oh, I don't know.
I mean, there's nothing like that feeling of just that flipping that comic page and that big reveal on an awesome splash page. I mean, and Sinestro had so many incredible ones, but there's got to be something that's close to your heart that you absolutely love seeing that get published in the pages.
Well, I don't. To be honest with you, I don't look backwards very often because I'm afraid of what I'll see. I like to move forward, but I remember drawing in Green Lantern Rebirth. I remember a moment where it was all working, and that was this double-page spread where it was individual images of each lantern making their ring work in a unique and individual way. And not all of them were right. Like looking back, I mean, Kyle Rayner using a big, gigantic construct hand to draw something, to sketch something, a little too on the nose, and I wouldn't have done that a second time. But almost everything else in that panel, especially, I loved drawing John Stewart's constructs because I used to draw every single little rivet in there. And then when it was color held by the colorist, it looked so amazing to me. I was always thrilled by it. Everything looked like an architectural kind of drawing, and I still try to do that
because that was his background, and I think that was one of. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. That was one of the most interesting things that in the mythos, everybody always liked John Stewart's constructs because he thought about it from the inside out. So he would think about the little rivets. He would think about the construct, and from everything with his architectural mind to build it and make it happen so that they were solid.
He knew everything. Building inside and out, and he put it all together. Everything was perfectly detailed and ordered because John Stewart was a man of order, which is why he's the leader of the Green Lantern Corps now, because he's the man of order and discipline. So all of his constructs reflect that. And Hal Jordan is more of a no-nonsense kind of guy. So I would never. Some people still do this, and I reject it. I don't have Hal Jordan making funny things like elephants. He doesn't do that. He's like, what gets the job done? Simple. What shape can I make that will get the job done? So if I'm pushing someone away, it might very literally be a hand, just because that comes to mind. It's an extension of his what he's thinking. But if he's picking something up, he might just use chopsticks, like two big kind of or just very simple basic shapes rather than funny things. Kyle Rayner's the guy who makes choo-choo trains and things because he's an artist.
Awesome. Now, Ethan, one thing that I do want to just touch on, I got two more questions for you here before we let you get out of here. So just quickly, other than the Green Lantern Corps, what is your favorite Lantern Corps? And is there a Lantern Corps that you would like to create if you ever got the chance? Is there one more that you guys wanted to add in that never got made or anything like that?
Another color. Well, first of all, I will say this. There's no such color as indigo. And I don't know how that ended up on the spectrum, but it is on the spectrum. So that if you really look at it, like, indigo is a combination of, it's like in between blue
and purple.
And that doesn't make any sense. Okay, there's no such thing as a color in between that. But anyway, it's there. So we have an indigo lantern. It's kind of like saying Pluto is a planet. Is it? We're not really sure. But commonly we think of it that way. My favorite Lantern Corps to draw will always be the Sinestro Corps because I love Sinestro. I think I feel that character. I created him and recreated him as dark, malevolent, imperial force that made me think of Darth Vader and Hitler and just the worst people in history. This icy cold, impassive, arrogant monster who thinks he's better than everyone and who is a genocidal tyrant.
You guys had the greatest moment of all, though, between him and Hal, though, at the end of Sinestro Corps, where when he asked him, like, were we ever truly friends? And then Sinestro says to him, he's like, that's the tragedy of all this, Jordan. We'll always be friends. Like, that, to me, the dynamic that you guys created between Hal and Sinestro isn't something that really existed in, the early 60s and 70s. Sinestro was always just portrayed as almost a campy villain. And you guys brought a sense of not only humanity, but a sense of relatability to a character that we had never really seen before.
He's a fallen angel. He's Satan.
Yeah, I always figured Sinestro was like the Doctor Doom of the DC universe.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah. In a sense, he's someone with better ideas.
Yeah.
He's ideas for how to run things. And don't we all?
Yep.
But he's got ideas for how to run things, and he thinks that the way the Guardians are doing it is wrong. It's okay. I mean, the Green Lantern Corps is fine, but he's fear is a better way to keep the universe in control. Fear. And that's his whole theme, and it's led to murder and all kinds of darkness and death, and he's just a really, really deep character. I love his group of his core, because I really wanted to do more with them. I just haven't had a chance. But I mean, terrorists. I mean, these things are all like they're intergalactic terrorists, and I want to show them actually strengthening Sinestro by creating fear, and actually show that on a small scale. Like, what can Crib do? I mean, Crib is this creature who will crawl into bedrooms and steal babies and just keep them in her back, you know. And, as a new parent, there's nothing more terrifying than someone stealing my infant. I can't imagine that. So just fear that character would generate strengthens Sinestro's ring. Now, if you've got 7,200 Sinestro core members all over the universe, all doing awful things like that to empower one man, I mean, it's just a great theme. It's a great theme.
I love it.
So I love Yellow Lanterns. I don't know if I have anything. I don't know if there would be possible to create another Lantern Corps. I can't think of another color that.
I always think gold would be a good one, but we'll see.
Or pink.
Gold, silver.
Now, just lastly, another fan question here, and then Anthony's got a question. We'll get you out of here. So from Brian Stefanian, is there a character for DC that you've not had the chance to draw yet that you hope to do in the immediate future?
I've drawn them all in, like, all of them in little bits and pieces. Like, you know, like Aquaman, I did a couple covers, but I never did much of Aquaman. I would like to do some Aquaman. I would love to do Plastic Man.
Oh, yeah. Plastic Man's like one of my favorite characters.
Send him my way. They brought him back, bringing him back, so it's looking like it could be more and more likely. Plastic Man and Hawkman, I got to get my hands on. The Hawks, both of them. Hawkman and Crow, because...
I would love to see your take on something weird like Animal Man or Swamp Thing.
A lot of people say Swamp Thing to me. I'm not interested. I mean, I could get interested if you... Like there are characters like the Atom that I'm like, eh. But if you say, Ethan, your job is to draw the Atom, I'm going to get into it. I was talking to Shane Davis once, and Shane Davis was like, what if the Atom had to fight a zombie plague at the virus level? And I was like, oh my God, what a great idea. Actually fighting the virus itself. That'd be terrific. So I could get into anything, but the Hawks I want, because I want to draw, I don't know, I think they're beautiful, and I want to draw their wings, like to be, I want to draw the markings of a real hawk on those wings, and try to add something to them. Awesome. They're two angels, two just like violent angels. I don't know, I get excited about characters if I think about them. I can do anything.
We just had a Facebook comment that the idea of a Gold Lantern Corps being created by the government would be a good idea, of them trying to figure out how to replicate lantern technology. But so yeah, I think that's just going to wrap things up for us here, Ethan, but we want to give fans a chance to get to know you a little bit better. So can you tell us where they can find you, follow you on Twitter, if you have an official website, anything like that, and some upcoming projects where they can get out into the comic shops and get some hands on some Ethan Van Sciver artwork?
Okay, so guys, two Instagram accounts. One is Ethan Van Sciver, the other one is Van Sciver Ethan. They're both me. One was created by my son, but now I took over it. So I have two Facebook accounts. One is Ethan Van Sciver, and the other is Ethan Daniel Van Sciver. Ethan Daniel Van Sciver still has like 1,000 slots open. So if you want to send me a friend request, I will accept you there. Ethan Van Sciver is filled up. So those are the two places to get a hold of me. I hope to get around and see you guys at conventions next year. This year, as I mentioned, I'm a new dad. I've got a 1.5-year-old daughter, so I'm staying home.
Congratulations!
Oh, thank you. It's great. I mean, I'm an old dad. I'm 43, but she's keeping me young. So I hope to get out and see you guys next year when she's old enough to travel with me a little bit more.
Awesome.
But love you all. Thank you for your support.
Oh, Ethan, are you kidding me? It is an honor to have you on the show. We hope at some point to have you draw us as lanterns for our logo for the show. I think that's what we're going to be saving up for at some point here. But we'd love to have you back on at some point. But for everybody that's listening to the show now, make sure you check out Ethan's work. Make sure you check out the seminal works that are the Flash Rebirth and the Sinestro Corps, and get out there and check out all of his body of work. It's truly incredible. Make sure you check out next week's episode where we have even more creators, and stay with us real tight. We'll be coming back with part 2 of the show for our news and segments. But for this week's Creators Corner interview with the amazing Ethan Van Sciver, DC legendary artist, that's going to wrap things up for this week's episode. Ethan, it has truly been an honor, my friend. We wish you nothing but the best and look forward to seeing what the future has to come for you. And we're back. We want to thank you for those of us that joined us, but we're going to jump into part 2 of the Get Your Geek on podcast, the meat of the show here, where we go through the top news of the week.
Wait, before we do that, I have to ask, did you watch Fast and the Furious? Did you watch Planet of the Apes?
I watched Fast and the Furious 4, and I'm halfway through Fast and the Furious 5.
And you already love it.
I feel like I've been lobotomized at this point. Like, it's totally unbearable television. But you've not. And what's the movie you had to watch? I was trying to explain
none, because I watched both of them.
No. There was something we had to watch.
No. I have to go back and stream last week's
You had to go watch The Kingsman. You have to watch The Kingsman. So, no, I did not get a chance to go watch Planet of the Apes. I've been super busy here at BevCam. But hopefully tomorrow I will sit down. Anthony gave me Saga.
Brian Stefanian, welcome.
Anthony gave me Saga to read because I'm trying to get back into comics, and I'm also going to sit down and just go for the Planet of the Apes movies. And God Almighty, please help me. So
it's going to be awesome, and you'll love it.
You'll love it. Okay.
Yes, Corbin is right. This is a separate post. The past couple of weeks, we have been running interviews, so we like to do the interview as one part, and then have people tune in for the meat of the show separately. And next week, we did announce, but it was off air. So our guest next week will be none other than Michael Zapsik from the Comic Book Men and the Smodcast Kevin Smith family. So be excited to have him broadcasting live from Jane Silent Bob's Secret Stash. That'll be next Friday. And then, Anthony, would you like to announce your guest that is going to be coming in October for us?
Oh, yeah. We have Josh Kalinsky. He is one of the creators for the mobile game DC Legends.
So that'll be extremely exciting to have there. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into some of the news of the week, and then intermittently we're going to be throwing out some quick little trivia hits and questions for you guys to get a chance to win some prizes. So I just want to start by saying I kind of did my little fan casting of the Green Lantern while we were talking to Ethan. I've never really had a chance to go over this, so I want to get your thoughts here. So for Jon Stewart, I was thinking Sterling K. Brown, the guy from This Is Us. I'm trying to think what else you would have seen him in. You'd definitely know him if you saw him. He's in Thor. He's in Black Panther coming up. I just think he would be an absolutely incredible Jon Stewart. But John Krasinski, I was thinking for Hal Jordan.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Especially because he's gotten ripped. Like, in The Office and things like that, I think he would be absolutely incredible. And then, so for Guy Gardner, Michael Cudlitz, the guy that played Abraham on The Walking Dead.
Okay.
If you wanted to go with, like, the bigger idea of Guy Gardner. But then my Joseph Gordon-Levitt for Kyle Rayner. I really think that's a strong, with the whole like artistic background and everything, I think that would be absolutely incredible. What's up, Luis Lozano? Thanks for joining us, man. Welcome to the Get Your Geek On podcast. Jamie, same with you. Love that you guys are joining us around. Tell us in the comments your fan casting for the Green Lantern movie as well. I think that would be really great to see. But you know who I was thinking for the CGI, but for the sake of the voice, if you're going to do St. Walker, the guy that plays Mycroft on BBC Sherlock.
Oh, you're talking about
the creator,
Mark Gatiss.
Mark Gatiss. I think he'd be incredible for St. Walker.
Doctor Who writer.
Yeah, tremendous.
And then Benedict Cumberbatch is one of the Guardians.
Maybe Ganthet, but I always kind of saw them as a little squeakier.
I don't know. I was going with it. But so I'm going to start off here with a quick giveaway. A Red Hulk issue right here. Tell us who is the artist of the Atomic Comics Red Hulk #1 variant. First person to correctly tell us the artist of the Atomic Comics Red Hulk #1 variant is going to be the winner of this. And I'll give you a hint. He is a Massachusetts-based artist and one of my personal favorites. So what I'll do is after the show, I will go through the comments here and I will tag people unless you get it immediately. But I highly doubt that's going to happen. So first giveaway, Red Hulk #1. Who is the issue? Who is the artist? Atomic Comics variant. So, moving on to our quick hits of the week, we got our first look at the Hellboy movie, which is going to be coming out in 2019. And I got to tell you, I just thought it was a picture from one of the Ron Perlman Hellboy movies.
It's exactly like him.
There's no difference at all other than the long hair.
Yeah, no, that's just weird. It's not that I don't think I still feel that Ron Perlman should be playing the character.
It's like under that heavy in makeup, I don't really care, especially the fact that this guy looks exactly like Ron Perlman. But
David Harbour?
Yeah, Harbour.
From Stranger Things. But I mean, my whole thing with it is this, I don't really care about Hellboy that much. It's like I've seen the 2 iterations of him, but I don't know, man. Like I'd rather see the Abe Sapiens spin-off movie that
It's
never
the
happened.
comics.
Is it?
It's the comics, yeah.
Hellboy looked good. Yeah, Brian, it did look good, but we were just saying it just looks too much like the same.
But I think you.
Corbin thought it was him too. So I love the interaction with you guys too. So feel free to chime in. This is a really great addition for us every week. But now moving in, we have to talk about it. John Wick got our official
Coming out
release
next year.
date. Cannot
2 years.
Wait,
2 years.
cannot
2 years?
wait. Yeah, May of 2019. It's confirmed that that's the final
Yeah.
one, but we don't care. We knew that going into
Yeah.
it. But cannot believe that is finally getting a part 3. It's going to be so exciting.
And the fact that it's getting a summer release date.
That tells you that they're putting
big.
something in, because the past 2 have been February,
yeah.
where
So
movies
it's-
go to die.
Well, no, it's not the movie's going to die.
It always is though. Like when you
It's
see a
like-
movie coming out in January or February, you know that the studio doesn't have faith in it. And first was the second. I think the second Hellboy movie was actually the better of the 2. For whoever commented that,
Corbin Wood.
I definitely. What do you think? I think Hellboy 2 was better.
Well, the Golden Army.
I really thought we were talking about John Wick.
Yeah. Well, John Wick. Here's the thing: is where do you think they're going to go with part 3? Is it him against like the whole Assassination Brotherhood? Do you think? Here's what I was thinking. I think Ian McShane is his dad. I really do. Like the reason he gave him a head start, the reason he's been helping him, and everything else like that. It would make sense, and they look enough alike too.
Yeah.
That you could totally buy it.
They both have that weird jaw.
But I don't know. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with it. I'm not that excited that we have to wait as long as we do for it. It's also going to be opening up against episode 9,
Oh.
which was delayed. Did you? Oh no, episode 9 was just delayed. So what am I thinking? You guys heard about that, right?
Yeah.
So we lost another director. So let's just jump right into the meat of it here. Star Wars can't hold a director to save their lives. This is the 4th firing under Kathleen Kennedy. That's no, it's going against Infinity War. Brian's Infinity War. Yeah, it's John Wick opening up. Actually, it'll be a week after Infinity War, because Infinity War is the first week of May. But so what do you guys think of Star Wars losing Colin Trevorrow as another director for quote unquote being difficult?
Well, I
to
didn't
work
really
with?
care for Jurassic World anyways, so I'm more than happy to see J.J. Abrams come
I
back on
think
board.
it's more important that JJ is writing it too, which means
Yeah.
they're scrapping everything that
Yep.
Colin had. But because of that, they're moving the release date up 6 months back to a Christmas release date
Yeah.
of 2019, which I think
I'd
Star
rather
Wars
see
movies
Star Wars
are
at
better
Christmas anyways,
Yeah.
yeah.
It just gives you something to look forward to, because I
Yeah.
love the Christmas season every year. But like going to Force Awakens was so cool. Going to Rogue One, like that was so. It's just something about like Snowfall and Star Wars movies just seem to go together really well for me. But not that exciting to me because of the fact that they were really, really close to starting this movie already. So, I mean, the fact that you have to do a complete page one rewrite.
See, I feel the same way as I do about Game of Thrones. Just take your time with it and do it well, and
Yeah.
I'll be happy.
Well, Game of Thrones, did you hear what they're going to be doing? Yeah, so we'll jump right in. So Game of Thrones is going to be shooting multiple endings now to stop leaks from coming out. Kind of like The
That's
Walking
great.
Dead did.
I hope the Blu-ray has like a choose your own ending.
That'd be
Just press a
hilarious.
button on the
Just,
controller.
like
Just to see a bunch of different characters turn into White Walkers. Like,
everybody is a White Walker, and
Yeah.
then just like do it really cheap and gaudy makeup. It's
Yeah,
like
that'd be awesome.
now, New Mutants, which is filming here in Boston, is about to rep. And yes, we got our first winner. Louis Lozano wins the Red Hulk issue. It was Ed McGuinness, correct?
Ed McGuinness.
But so New Mutants wrapping production on the first superhero horror movie. Seems like they shot that really quick. I think that was
Yeah.
like a 7-week shoot.
Couple weeks, yeah.
Yeah, which is like insane to me.
Did you ever get to go down there and catch them?
I didn't. So that's why I'm telling you it's a real quick shoot, because we were just talking about this
Yeah,
starting,
last
so
week.
That gives me a lot of trepidation.
No, I'm gonna say it. Fox doesn't know what they're doing with this
We now hear
franchise.
Stan Lee saying that they're trying to work to get the Marvel is trying to get the X-Men and Fantastic Four rights back, which I would buy some credence into, because Fantastic Four comics are going to start coming out again. Marvel
No, they're
announced
already
this
doing
week.
they're bringing back the Marvel 2-in-1, which was an old series where they just did team ups. And the first arc, which is they have an awesome artist, Jim Cheung, and they have Chip Zdarsky is going to write it, and he's a huge fan of the Fantastic Four. And the team up is going to be the Human Torch and the Thing, and they're looking around for Sue and Reed and the 2 kids after, they seemingly disappeared at the end of Secret Wars. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be awesome.
And our next prize that we're going to be doing as we give away here, this is just a way for you guys to share these things, is the Blu-ray DVD combo pack of Passengers. And the way that you guys are going to be able to win that is by telling us in the Flash Rebirth series, drawn by the amazing Ethan Van Sciver, who does Flash kill with a simple touch? Tell us, who does the Flash kill with a touch in Flash Rebirth to win the Passengers Blu-ray DVD combo? Again, sound off in the comments with that for a chance to win your prize. So Now, moving on to TV news, Adam Strange cast for Sci-Fi's Krypton show. And Robert wrote, "Do we care?" I got to tell you, I'm going to give the Krypton show a chance, just for the fact that it's a Superman story. But I mean, they don't have powers on Krypton. So
I want to answer your question, Robert. No.
No.
Do not care.
So
I care about episode 1.
So here's why I asked that question. Why do we care? Because it seems like when somebody does outside of Gotham, which I don't know how it still survives, not being in the CW era, the Flareverse. I don't know how you do this show on Sci-Fi without having realized you have a Superman, you have Supergirl.
Hi, Nick Massoni.
How do you do this? How do you do it?
All right, guys. So make sure that you guys write down in those comments, tell us who did Flash kill to win that Blu-ray. But moving on to some other news of the week. Have you guys heard that Thor Ragnarok is the most anticipated movie of the fall?
I have.
Do you buy that hype?
I don't.
I mean, I'm pretty hyped to go see it.
It's a threequel, though. Like, how much are you really expecting out of characters that you've seen this much? Oh, wow. Anthony, what a cutie.
Yeah.
I see how it is.
We all know.
Just because I look like a butch lesbian doesn't mean I don't get some love from the fans. But, so, I gotta tell you, Thor looks like it's gonna be a fun summer movie, somehow set next to Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That's like the vibe that I'm getting from
I'll take it.
But the marketing push, man, they're dumping a lot of money into this movie.
Because, I mean, like, think about it with the Thor movies in the past. They've done well, but they haven't done really well. And so I think with this being Thor Ragnarok and Taika Waititi, and it just seems they're like, okay, we got the Hulk. They're trying to put as much as they possibly can to say, like, this is a movie you want to see. We got, see this movie.
Forget Justice League, man.
Yeah, it's like, forget Justice League. Thor's the movie you're going to... Well, oh, wow. You're just going to... Anthony's just like...
I won't allow it. I will not allow it.
I already forgot about Justice League.
The week that Justice League comes out, I'm basically going to be like cheerleading on their show. Like, go see
Thor!
I cannot wait for this movie, though. I got to tell you, it looks fun. The fact that it's going to be the shortest Marvel movie at only 90 minutes gives me some hope. Because I don't really care about Thor that much. I hope this is more of a Hulk-centric movie, if I'm being honest with you.
Not going to happen.
But, Savitar, ain't it? Yeah, Jamie, you win. You won the Passengers DVD Blu-ray. And moving on, I'm going to do some more prizes over the weekend there, but I just want to give away the big prize here, which is the George Perez signed Infinite Crisis Death of Supergirl. And to win this one, tell me, what does Hal use to charge his ring against Sinestro in the Sinestro Corps War? What does
True Love's Kiss
use to charge his ring against Sinestro in the Sinestro Corps War? We're going to do that, and then we have one last set of prizes to give away here, a nice little Firestorm pack. But moving on to some trailer talk, did you guys see the trailer for a movie called Downsizing?
Yes.
Nope.
I think that actually looks interesting. So it's a Matt Damon movie. It's
with
Christoph Waltz and Kristen Wiig.
Oh, I didn't see any trailers, but I saw some promo stills.
Yeah, it's just basically this as a way to change overpopulation, stuff like that. You shrink yourself down, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kid style, and you live your life at an eighth of an inch tall, and they build these giant mansions and everything, and your money translates to small. So that,
you're
for example,
a millionaire.
Awesome. They had $55,000 in the trailer, and she's like, that translates to $12.5 million in the Miniland and stuff like that.
Miniland.
And then these people, the tall people, carry you around in your little house and stuff like that. It's hilarious. But it looked like an interesting movie, and you don't see a lot of original premises that come out nowadays. So that was one of those out of left field movies, a little indie film that I'll definitely be checking out.
Yeah. Jason Sudeikis is in the film.
Oh, nice.
I have to just talk about real quick the fact.
Did you guys see it?
I've watched some clips from it in bright daylight. Literally went outside my apartment in the sun to make sure that no one could even tap on my window.
That's when he comes to get you,
right? It is the daylight in which that happens.
Yeah. So we were talking last Friday, and we were like, "Oh, it's going to open to $100 million." It opened to $123 million.
That's bananas.
That is insane for a horror movie. Do you understand? The Conjuring opened at $50 million, and they were like, wow, that's insane.
And that's huge.
Conjuring can't Get Out opened to I think that's the next closest, but that was absolutely crazy to me that it opened at $123 million. That is more than most superhero movies do on an opening weekend. The hype for that movie, and it's predicted to win again this weekend with 60.
That's insane.
It's not going to have much of a drop-off, which is really, really crazy to me. But yeah.
Did you see it?
I've watched some clips. It's scary as hell to me,
It was scary as hell.
Was it really that bad?
I have no fear of clowns, But I do get really scared during horror movies. Like, even if they're bad, jump scares will get me every single time. Creepy music, creepy kids will get me every time. Big drooling clown with a mouth that's just too big freaks me out.
You know
that movie scared the piss out of me.
You know who the actor is, right?
Yeah,
Bill
Skarsgård.
from Hemlock Grove.
Hemlock Grove, but it's like so, you know, because he has other brothers. So his other brother was Eric Northman in True Blood. I'm forgetting his name, and his dad's Stellan Skarsgård. Eric Selvig, Dr. Selvig from the Thor movies, which is going to be interesting.
That's awesome.
So it's like, his other brother's been on. His other brother's been in Vikings.
Yeah,
the TV
the
show.
Skarsgårds, they're all over the place now. They're like Baldwins.
Yeah, it's like, are you a Scott brother from Sweden?
Corbin and Luis, it was not the Indigo Lantern or the Yellow Lantern power source for what Hal Jordan used to charge his ring. It is a one-off. You'll never see it again, but it was a really cool moment.
I told you, it's true love's kiss.
And last thing to give away is this amazing Firestorm first ever appearance and the New 52 Firestorm issue #1 that came out. And to win these, tell me who was the Firestorm in the Blackest Night series. Who was the Firestorm? Not Deathstorm. Who was the Firestorm? I need the names of both parts of Firestorm in the Blackest Night series. So now we want to move into Anthony's Pull of the Week, where we talk about the hottest comics on the shelves going out. Now, last week I had the Superman issue #29, where he becomes part of the Sinestro Corps. But Anthony, I hear you have a much better.
Forgot about Superman. Did you read the Oz Effect?
Oh, of course. Okay, can we talk about Oz
Effect?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that real quick.
So we've been misled for the past year. We all thought that the Oz Effect is going to be Ozymandias going into this because we can't wait for Doomsday Clock and everything.
I kind of hope it was.
Spoiler alert! 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mr. Oz is Jor-El.
Jor-El.
I knew it.
See, I hope that it's the Golden Age Jor-El and not just like the Jor-El that we all know and love.
They had been dropping hints, and like some of the things I've been following, they had been dropping hints that it might be a Superman character.
Yep.
And I was for a while, and I was like, it was like, is it Lex Luthor? And thinking like this, kind of playing that. Okay,
it's Jor-El, and then you got Zod is kicking around over in Supergirl. So
it'll be interesting to see
the
what they're
whole
doing
L
with
family's out and about.
Nick Masson, that movie Mother looks weird to me. Like, the previews don't give me much to go based off of, and I'm not one of those creepy cult movies anyway.
Is that with Jennifer Lawrence?
Yeah, it's one of those weird movies. She's probably going to be like a virgin sacrificed to some Scientology cult.
I cannot stand Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, dude, no. She's one of those people that can't emote. Watch me be human talking. This is how humans leak. Why is that human leaking? Like, I just can't buy into any of the movies.
No, I think she's really good, and I think she's really fun. But I think for this movie, I think it's different to, like, outside of the, the Hunger Games movies and the X-Men movies. Like, she's kind of been hit or miss.
I think she was the worst part. She was like one of the worst parts of She was one of the worst parts of X-Men.
She is one of the worst parts of X-Men. I'm kind of sad that she's coming back for Dark Phoenix. But Darren Aronofsky movie, that doesn't really matter to me. Every director's got the ability to make a crap movie. I mean, it's just like, how many times am I going to see, like, the cult leader going crazy to the girl that didn't know that he was a cult leader? They've made that movie like 6 times.
I don't think that's the way that the way that I think that movie Mother is going to play out is it's all in somebody's head.
Well, that's the
Jacob's Ladder scenario.
Like, you will remember where you were the first time you saw Mother.
That's
it's like, because I walked out like I want to kill myself.
Yeah, because this is where it's like I'm thinking they're going Memento or Inception on this route. So that's where I think it's all in somebody's head. That's just me. I haven't seen the movie yet. It's just my opinion.
Is there any movies that you guys are hyped up for other than Kingsman?
Thor
I went
3.
and saw American Assassin last night.
How was it?
That was the one with hot garbage fire. They just recycled.
Was that the one with Michael Keaton?
Yeah,
it's got Michael Keaton, Taylor Keach.
Did you ever see the movie The Hunted with Benicio del Toro?
Yeah,
and it's
Tommy
that
Lee
movie
Jones.
with a nuke.
Boo.
It's that exact movie. Like, he has to go after the old CIA guy that takes in a guy, and then that guy turns, and he has to hunt him down. No. It's literally
Michael Keaton's the villain now, right?
No, Michael Keaton's the guy that trained Taylor Kirch.
Oh, all right, cool.
Super Troopers.
That's a
Super Troopers 2. Yeah, that's going to be hilarious. That filmed all around, literally where we are, Louis. That filmed all around us here in Beverly and Hamilton. So really excited for that one. Heading into Oscar season, though, now we're going to start getting a lot of like the Oscar bait movies. So it's like 12 Years a Slave Part 2 and Amadeus.
Part 2? 24 Years a Slave?
24 Years a Slave. Like, but then I don't know. There's not a whole lot of like tentpole movies left for the rest of the year. I'm just excited that we're gonna be getting.
You have your. I mean, like we get episode
8.
We get episode 8. We have Thor.
And Justice League.
And Justice League.
Justice League.
So yeah. Hey, Anthony, it's really shady over there on your side.
It's a little hot.
It's a little hot.
First person to guess my favorite Lantern Corps will take home Sheltered number
Great.
1. Yeah.
No, all right. So my poll of the week this week is Dark Knight's Metal issue number 2.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Did you guys see it?
I haven't seen 2.
Okay,
yet.
so Batman is on this mission. Nobody knows what this mission is all about, but he's taking magical artifacts and godly artifacts, and he's got the Joker kidnapped, and he's just trying to figure out this thing. He's working with Hawkman's old journals, because Hawkman's an archaeologist in the story.
And this is about the he's chasing nth metal because
he's chasing some sort of thing that resembles nth metal, and it opens the door to what they're calling the dark multiverse, which is just a shadow multiverse where everything is just pure evil. And this story is going to set up basically it's a company-wide crossover, but the focus on the villains are evil Batmen from all over the dark multiverse.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So this one, the first evil Batman that you see is the Batman who laughs and his 3 crows, or maybe there's 4 of them. But it's just an evil, like S&M looking Batman with just this creepy stretched out Joker smile, because he's the Joker in his universe, but he's Batman, and he has all like these weird zombified Robins that just crow and hang out and lurch and just rip people to shreds. It's pretty messed up for a comic book, but it's done by Scott Snyder, art by the great Greg Capullo, who did Spawn and Batman and stuff. You should really check that out. It is some dark stuff.
No, because I thought that the Batman metal was supposed to lead into Doomsday Clock.
No, that's what.
No, they're 2 like major stories that are happening concurrently.
Okay.
The timeline, it's comics. Put one first, or put the other one first. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
But yeah, it's definitely something worth checking out. I mean, just to have Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo together again is worth the $3.99.
Just so you guys did not get the Lantern Corps correct yet, and I'm just going to do 2 quick little questions, then we'll get out of here. So for the Blue Lantern Pop, if Anthony would like to Vanna White that, the question for that is, who is the second Blue Lantern? Who is the second Blue Lantern to win that? And then lastly, tell me my favorite David Tennant role to win this Emmy screener full season 1 of Jessica Jones on DVD. Tell me my favorite David Tennant role. We'll be checking the comments for all of these to make sure you guys get your prizes. But I think that is going to wrap things up.
Was
it is not Casanova.
Is it Barty Crouch?
So remember, for Firestorm,
It is
who
Barty
was the
Crouch. Barty Crouch
Firestorm?
Jr. It is Barty Crouch Jr. Isn't it?
You're an idiot. You better hope that nobody comments that.
I wanted to win it.
There you go, my friend. Anthony wins. So Anthony takes that home.
So
for
what's his second favorite David Tennant role?
And why is it Doctor Who?
No, Anthony really wins. I'll be fair with it. So for the Firestorm, make sure you tell me who was the Blackest Night Firestorm. For the Blue Lantern Pop, make sure you tell me who the second Blue Lantern was. And for that coveted set, George Perez, tell me what did Hal Jordan use to charge his ring against Sinestro in the final fight of the Sinestro Corps. I'm excited to see if anybody's actually going to get that one. I'll tell you off air. But that is going to wrap things up, so I will be checking all weekend and giving away tons of great comics all over the Nerd Herder page this weekend, so make sure you tune in. And check back next week for the Get Your Geek On podcast, where our guest will be Michael Zapsik from the Comic Book Men. So for this week's episode of the Get Your Geek On podcast, I've been Chuck Kiwacz.
I am Robert Dokes.
And I'm Supergirl's boyfriend.
And yes, this blade glows blue, because orcs are near. Have a week, guys.